Hi, I'm Lou Pamonti, and this is Music from the Inside. Today, we are going to look at one of my scores that I wrote for Michael Bublé. This is the first thing I ever arranged for Michael, and it was for the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame, which was televised on the CBC. We were inducting Joni Mitchell that particular year, and we had a great roster. We had James Taylor, Herbie Hancock, Chaka Khan, and Michael Bublé on the show. So this is the first time that I met Michael. And we had a short phone talk, and I wrote this arrangement. Now, this is a kind of a typical big band with strings arrangement of an American songbook style song called How About You? It is written for 3 trumpets, 3 trombones, 3 saxophones, rhythm section, and 12 strings. So why don't we start by listening to the first few minutes? Well, the first 30 seconds anyway.
When a girl meets boy, life can be a joy, but the note they end on will depend on the little pleasures they will share. So let us compare.
All right, that's the first bit. Why don't we take a look at that? We'll come back to the score here. So, as you can see, I've got the 3 saxophones written as a kind of a French horn style pad. It's mostly a string intro here, the first 2 bars, as you can see. So it's just strings accompanying Michael's opening refrain. Nothing terribly complex here, but lots of moving notes, as you can see. What you don't want to write is you don't want to write a bunch of whole notes. You want to write things that have movement, and especially within the holes of the vocal, you should be singing along as you write these things. So as you can see, right here, Michael goes, when a girl meets boy, he pauses, and I go, ba-da-da-da. Life can be a joy, ba-da-da-da. And there's something interesting here. We go to a forzando piano of tremolo on the strings, on the G9 chord. D, A, F, and B natural. And then it smooths out again as we move to arco. It's not marked here, but it should be marked arco here. Well, it doesn't really need to be because the tremolo is marked. So we go here, ba-da-da-da-da-da. And that brings us to tempo, and this is from when the big band kicks in. Let's just look that much because this sets the tone for the entire arrangement. So this is a 4-bar intro after the refrain and before the first verse. Now, keep in mind that these American songbook songs, a lot of them they're written in their own style. It's not like modern songs, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, then bridge and then out. These are usually 16-bar verses that twice through, it's the entire song. Usually at the end of the first verse, it ends on a 5 chord, and then you repeat the same verse, but it resolves onto the 1 chord. So let's look at this big swinging intro here. So I've got the brass carrying the load of the weight here in a kind of a chordal harmony, F13 going to a D7 altered into a G7 altered. And if you notice, they're making the bow, 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 bow. But I've got the 3 saxophones in unison playing the alternate line and playing in the holes. Ba, 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 doo, ba, 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 doo, ba. It's all very bluesy, but in a jazz kind of a way. So let's listen from the first verse.
I like New York in June. How about you?
Just rhythm section for the first 8 bars.
I like a Gershwin tune.
First thing I do is I bring in the strings.
You? I love a fireside, or when a storm is due. I like potato chips, moonlight and motor trip. How about you?
Okay, let's look at that first verse. So as I said, the first 8 bars of the first verse, just rhythm section. We've had a big intro, and now we're just coming down. We have to bring it down so that we can build it back up again. On the 9th bar of the first verse, it goes to a beautiful B minor 7 flat 5 chord, lush chord, perfect chord to bring the strings in. And all they're doing is padding here, as you can see. It's a B minor 7 flat 5 going to a B minor 6 chord, to an A minor 7, to a G minor 7, and it's all very kind of smooth until I hit it big on 4 on this bar, and I bring in the low E's. Now in this song, it starts in F, and it keeps modulating to A and then coming back. But it's only an A for a couple of bars. So as you can see, we go to this E sus chord here. I've got the strings in octaves, and I've got the saxophones in bones and octaves, and then they break into harmony here, and we land on A, which is the 1 for that moment, but then we quickly go to a 2/5 with the saxophones playing a counter melody. And then we hit verse 2. Let's listen to verse 2.
I'm mad about good books, can't get my fill, and change the Ranny's lips, give me a thrill, holding hands in the movie show when all the lights are low, may not be new, but I like it, how about you?
Great, let's look at the second verse. So verse 2, this time I start with the trombones doing a comping pattern, as you can see right here. They're alone. Then I bring the saxes in on a line. Bones still comping. And then from the counter line, the saxes join the trombones in the comping part. And I've also brought in the strings on the C minor 7 chord, which of course is going to be the 2, 4, 5, on the sweet note, which would be the 9th, on the D on the C minor 7 chord. We go through here. Now we're starting to build here. I've reharmonized this entire thing, which is most of the fun. You know, it's a very fun part of working on American songbook songs, even though this is Canadian songbook. So the trumpets come in now. When the trumpets come in, we get a lot more force. So we got the brass going bow da da da, bop bow, bop bow, and then the strings come in on a counter line here. And then we got the saxes and the trombones comping. Bow, 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 as you can see. Now, usually in these kinds of songs, when you're doing songbook style songs with a crooner like Michael, there's going to be, once they sing the first 2 verses, there's going to be an instrumental section. And then they come in and they do both verses again, and they're out. So I wanted to do something, so I brought it right down. Let's listen to this instrumental section. You'll see what I mean. It's all about bringing it down so that I can build it back up.
Out you.
Okay, so a pretty swinging little instrumental break there. Let's go back and see what I did. As you can see, I wrote this little figure. Good. And that just rises and rises and rises. So I start with the saxophones, with the trombones low on the F because it's all over a pedal F. And so now I've got the saxes and the trumpets being a section. See, we've had bones and saxes being a section. We've had bones and trumpets being a section. And we've had saxes and bones being a section, but now we have saxes and trumpets being a section. And it's all about colors. It's all about a lot of different colors as opposed to the same sound through the entire chart. So as you can see, trombones on the pedal, trumpets and saxes doing that figure, no strings in yet, but I brought the strings in here towards the end as it starts to build more and more and more and more. Higher, 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 louder. Now we're at a double forte. Now we have this big run that you just heard going in to the main part of the instrumental. As you can see, trumpets and octaves and strings and octaves. So that's a very strong sound. So what I've done here is songs in F. When I go to the instrumental, I want to do the instrumental in G so that I can bring it back down to F. But I don't go to the top of the verse. What I do is I go to that sweet spot 9 bars into the verse where it goes in F. It goes to the B minor 7 flat 5 chord. But I want it in G. So I'm in the key of G, and I go into the instrumental now, and I'm starting on a C sharp minor 7 flat 5 chord. So even though I'm going to the key of G, I'm starting on the flat 5 of the key of G. And it really makes for a nice contrast. So as you can see, we're very big here now. Trumpets in octaves, bones playing chords, saxes playing chords. Strings are out for a while. Bow, 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 da, bow, 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 da, bow, bow. And then saxes play a counter line. So what I've done here now is I modulated to the key of G. But when the original song transposes itself for 2 bars from F into the key of A, what I've done is I've gone to G, but I've still gone to the A. So I didn't go to the B chord, which would have been in the key of G. It would have been the same as it was in F. I went to G halfway through the verse, and then I went back to the A chord before going to the third verse. And as you can see, these are all big voicings here. A major 7 over E, strings in octaves, da 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 da, with saxophones playing counter lines. And then I go bow bow down, and then I go 2 of 5 back to the key of F, G minor 7 to C7 with this great sax line. Right? So now we're in verse 3. Let's listen to verse 3.
I like BC in June. How about you? I like a Bernstein tune. How about you? I love a TV set when an NHL game is due. I like those fish and chips, rock and roll, fill the tip. How about you?
Okay, that's the third verse. Now, coming out of the instrumental, the third verse had to be exciting, but I had to leave myself somewhere to go for that all-important fourth verse, because the fourth verse is going to be the climax of the entire piece. I still wanted verse 3 to be up and swinging, but I had to leave myself a little headroom. So if we look at the third verse here, now I've got the strings in octaves playing a counter line to the comping of the trombones, right? Right? You go on. Boom, still comping. Sax is still playing a counter line. Strings playing another counter line up high in octaves. Bones comping. No trumpets, no trumpets. I'm saving those trumpets for verse 4. Same thing, we go through here, we're comping once again on that all-important B minor 7 flat 5 chord in the ninth part of the verse. I've got it up high. I've got it on the sweet notes up there. The D to the D flat to the C. And then the temporary transposition to the key of A, as it always does, looks like this. You can pause and have a look closer at this stuff. Now, we're going to the fourth verse. So this is the climax. So this is the verse that has to swing the hardest. Let's have a listen to it first.
Chips, rock and roll, fill the tip. How about you? I'm mad about good my fill. And Joni Mitchell's looks, they give me a thrill. Holding hands in the movie show when all the lights are low may not be new. I like it. I love it. I like it. How about you?
Like I said, it's live. Okay, let's have a look at this last bit. So, verse 4, here we are. Like I said, this has to swing the hardest. So, I've got the trumpets higher now, and I'm kind of back into my, close to my voicings for the intro. So, comping, brass comping, and saxophones playing answer lines, as you can see. Trumpets up high now, up to C concert in octaves with strings in unison. Now we have a trombone and a sax voicing, comping line. Ba-do, 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 bop. Now, this is the big build-up. Big shots, comping. Now, this is interesting because this is a tag that I add. Instead of going right into, how about you? I like it. I love it. I like it. So I did a 3-time tag on that. And I wanted to do it a little bit differently. So it's... And that's what this looks like here. Trumpets are up there. Bones comping, they're voiced together, saxophones in unison, the octave below the lead trumpet. Always, when there's a hole in the lead vocal, I want to fill it with a line like this one right here. We repeat for the 3rd time, and then down to the big 5-pedal ba. And then what I do is I reiterate the opening intro. And that's the same as the intro. You can see strings are out and off to a big 1. Bye. And then I added a quiet little coda to it, an F Lydian chord. As you can see here in the saxophones, I got B-H-E. In the bones, I got F-A-B. I have no trumpets because I don't want anything. I just want it low and subtle. And in the strings I have from the top down, I've got A, G, D, S. And you can hear that there. So that's what that looks like. I did that 18 years ago. And after that, one day we were in the wings waiting to go on. And Michael said to me, that's a great chart. He said, why don't you arrange for me? And I said, call me. Now, you got to understand that stuff like this happens all the time. I'm going to make a short video of the story behind how me writing this one arrangement for Michael ended up with me doing 8 tracks on his next 2 albums, including his biggest hit ever, which was called Haven't Met You Yet. So lots more to talk about. We'll see you soon.